give two different syntheses of the following compound from the starting material given. And this happens all the time, okay, is that you have more than one way of doing things. So, it's a good idea, as I always say, to study with friends because that way you all think differently, okay? In any case, let's look at this one here. So we are going from benzene to an ester, okay? And the ester, of course, is made from an alcohol and an acid. Okay, that's what we have. So looking at this, let us see what kind of an acid and alcohol we need. I always focus on the carbonyl. Whenever I have an ester, I always focus on the carbonyl. This is my carbonyl. It means that this is going to be my acid, okay, which means that I need acetic acid, okay, for this one, which means that this portion right here is going to be the alcohol. So which means essentially I can't do much for making an ester because an ester does need an alcohol and acid. The question really is, how do I make the alcohol in two different ways? Because the last step, once I have the alcohol, then I just have to make the ester from there. Okay, so I just have to find two different ways in order to form the alcohol. Okay, so that's fine. We can handle this, right? So let's take benzene, which is what we're supposed to start with. And to get this kind of an alcohol, this is going to be, let me write it here in a different color. Okay, so there's going to be benzyl alcohol. All right, so this is the alcohol we need because this oxygen goes with the benzene ring. So we need benzyl alcohol. All right, so I need to find a way to add a carbon to the benzene ring. So the easiest way to add a carbon to a benzene ring is, of course, Friedel-Crafts. Okay, and so we can go ahead and do that first if we want to. So CH3Cl, AlCl3, and so then we add a carbon. Once we have the carbon, now we need to add an OH to that carbon, and of course to add an alcohol to a carbon, you need to have some sort of a leaving group on there. To add a leaving group on there, you need to add maybe a bromine. Okay, so maybe something like this. Okay, to add this, you need to do you need to do free radical reaction. And so NBS or Br2 with light or something like that, that will give you a side reaction on benzene. Now you don't want the reaction on benzene, okay? You want the reaction outside the benzene. So now that you have the bromine on there, now you can convert that into an alcohol by doing substitution. So there are different ways of making alcohol. So you know that also. Okay, we've done the whole alcohol chapter and there are many, many ways. And this process here will show us that. Okay, because we are going to be making an alcohol in two different ways. Because then the last step, once you have the alcohol, is just adding the acid, which is the acetic acid. Okay, in presence of acid, and that will give us the product, okay, that we need. So essentially how to get the alcohol in a different way. Okay, so now we have to find a different way, okay, to add the alcohol. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first way that we had was by adding the carbon first. Now the second way that we can do this is by adding something else, obviously, right? So here, let's start with benzene ring, and we'll go ahead and add bromine and FeBr3, because in this one, the first one that we did, we went ahead and did the SN2. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and use Grignard, okay, to form my alcohol. A benzyl alcohol like this is a primary alcohol, so I can use Grignard reagents to form primary alcohol. So I'm going to go ahead and use Grignards now to form a primary alcohol. So here we go, and now we're going to have bromine on here. So then I'm going to add magnesium to that. Now I can do everything in one step, but I just want to write it out so that you can also see it. And then I need to add only one carbon, and to add one carbon only, I need to add formaldehyde. Then I need to do hydrolysis to protonate my alcohol, and that should give me then the benzyl alcohol. Okay, so that would be another way of forming benzyl alcohol. So this reaction mechanism turned out to be, or reaction scheme since turned out to be synthesis of alcohols more than carboxylic acids, but still it's still a synthesis. Okay, now here what we can do is once we have the alcohol, you can also change it a little bit if you want. You don't have to add acid. You can go ahead and add acyl chloride. Have a little change, okay, because you can add acyl chloride, anhydride, or acid. Okay, so just to have a little bit different synthesis from what we did before, we'll go ahead and use acyl chloride, okay, in there. And that's it. Okay, these are the two syntheses. Maybe there's another one that you can come up with. I don't know. If you do, that's fantastic. Okay, but in any case, here are the two syntheses.